And what if the truth no one had the courage to tell you is this? Maybe your life is not stuck because no one helped you. Maybe it is stuck because you are still waiting for someone to do for you what God has already placed in your hands to begin. You say you never had an opportunity, but what if the opportunity does not show up ready-made? What if you have to create your own path with discipline, courage, and wisdom? The truth is that no one will do for you what only you can do for yourself, because many people are not without an open door. They are trapped in habits that close doors every single day. Proverbs reveals that life does not respond only to those who dream. Life responds to those who act with wisdom. God can give you direction, but He will not live your discipline for you. And if you watch until the end, you will understand why your success does not begin when someone shows up to help you. It begins when you stop outsourcing your life and take responsibility for the future God has placed before you. Many people want to win, but they live waiting for someone to help, waiting for someone to believe in them, waiting for someone to open a door, waiting for someone to recognize their value, waiting for the perfect opportunity to appear, waiting for life to get easier, waiting for fear to disappear, waiting for the ideal moment, waiting for everything to become clear before taking the first step. And some still say, "I am waiting for God to act," but they keep repeating the same choices, the same habits, the same passivity, and the same excuses. But here is the truth that may hurt to hear. Faith is not an excuse to stay still. Proverbs does not teach a passive, stuck, disorganized life that depends on someone pushing you all the time. Proverbs teaches diligence, prudence, preparation, discipline, planning, self-control, personal responsibility, and wise decisions. The wisdom of Proverbs does not treat success as luck, prosperity as coincidence, or growth as something that simply falls from heaven without human participation. It shows that a person's life is deeply affected by the paths they choose, the habits they repeat, and the invisible patterns they accept as normal. Because your future is not being built only by what you desire, it is being built by what you do every day. There is a type of person who prays but does not get organized. They desire but they do not prepare. They dream but they do not act. They complain but they do not correct themselves. They want open doors, but they keep carrying habits that close doors. They want prosperity, but they live without discipline. They want success, but they run from effort. They want a life change, but they keep protecting their comfort zone. And maybe this is one of the greatest traps, believing that wanting something badly is the same as being committed. But Proverbs confronts this, because even those who do nothing also desire a better life. And this video is not here to condemn you. It is here to wake you up, because maybe you do not need another motivational phrase, another empty promise, another emotional push that lasts 2 days and then disappears. Maybe you need a decision, a real, deep, mature decision to stop outsourcing your life and start building with wisdom what God has placed in your hands. Maybe you do not need to wait for someone to discover you. Maybe you need to prepare so much, grow so much, mature so much, and act with such consistency that your life can no longer be ignored. Because there comes a moment when a person stops asking for permission to grow and starts taking responsibility for their own path. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel, because here we talk about biblical wisdom applied to real life based on the book of Proverbs. And write in the comments, what do you feel you need in order to reach your goals? Share it with others here. And if you stay with me until the end, you will realize that maybe your success is not as far away as it seems. Maybe it is waiting for a version of you that finally decided to stop waiting. First truth, stop waiting for someone to do for you what God has already given you the ability to begin. There are many people wanting success, wanting prosperity, wanting growth, wanting a life change, but they are still standing in the same place because they confuse desire with decision. person looks toward the future and says, "I want to win, I want to grow, I want to get out of this stuck life." But when it is time to act, they delay, make excuses, and wait for someone to push them. And here is the truth that confronts. Willpower alone does not build anything. A dream without movement becomes frustration. Desire without discipline becomes only a beautiful idea trapped inside the mind. Proverbs 13:4 shows this directly. Even the lazy person desires, but the one who truly harvests is the diligent person, the one who turns desire into action, preparation, effort, and consistency. So maybe the problem is not lack of ability, lack of opportunity, or lack of help. Maybe the problem is that you are still waiting for someone to do for you what God has already given you the strength to begin. Think of a person sitting inside a parked car with their hands on the steering wheel, looking at a huge road ahead and saying, "I want to go far." The car has fuel, direction, an engine, a road, and a path. But nothing happens because that person never starts the engine, never takes their foot off the brake, never takes control. Many people live exactly like this. They have intelligence, time, access to information, an idea, a vision, a small open door. But they keep waiting for someone to show up and say, "Now it is time." But maturity begins when you understand that no one can live your decision in your place. Someone can advise you, someone can inspire you, someone can even open a door, but no one can walk for you. And while you keep saying, "No one helps me," maybe you are running from the hardest question, "What could I have already started?" But I keep delaying because I still do not want to take responsibility. Passivity often disguises itself as hope. A person says, "I am waiting for the right time," but deep down they are afraid of the discomfort of the first step. They say, "I'm waiting for God to open a door," but maybe God has already placed in their hand a key called discipline, a key called diligence, a key called preparation. Faith with action is different from stagnant faith. Biblical wisdom does not teach you to stand still complaining about life. It teaches you to align your choices, correct your route, and begin with what you have in your hands. Maybe you cannot change everything today, but you can organize your routine, study a skill, take better care of your money, stop repeating bad habits, and take a small step in the right direction. Because when you begin to move with wisdom, something changes inside you. And that is exactly where the next point comes in. Opportunity does not usually find those who complain. It finds those who prepare. Second truth, opportunity does not find those who complain. It finds those who prepare. Many people say, "I just need an opportunity." But the question almost no one wants to answer is, if that opportunity arrived today, would you be ready to sustain it? Because there is a huge difference between wanting an open door and being prepared to remain standing after that door opens. Some people ask for growth, but they do not build structure. They ask for prosperity, but they do not organize their life. They ask for recognition, but they do not develop consistency in secret. Proverbs uses the ant as an example because it moves before the crisis arrives. It prepares in the summer, works without needing pressure, and understands that the future is built before the need appears. Opportunity does not usually find those who only complain about the lack of a chance. It finds those who are preparing while no one is watching. Think about rain. When rain falls on prepared soil, a plantation grows, fruit grows, a harvest grows. But when the same rain falls on abandoned soil, weeds, mess, and confusion grow. The rain is the same, but the soil is different. And opportunity works exactly like that. The same door that changes one person's life can expose another person's lack of preparation. That is why some people receive a chance and grow, while others receive a chance and get lost, because they did not have discipline, planning, maturity, self-control, or direction to manage it. There is no point in asking for a great opportunity if your habits are still small, your routine is still disorganized, your decisions are still impulsive, and your mind is still trapped in complaint. Before asking for more open doors, maybe you need to sincerely ask yourself, am I becoming the kind of person who can take care of what I am asking for? Proverbs 21:5 says that the plans of the diligent lead to abundance, but excessive haste leads to poverty. This is very strong because it shows that prosperity is not born from emotional improvisation. It is born from preparation, direction, prudence, consistency, and wise movement. It is not just running, it is running on the right path. It is not just doing a lot, it is doing things with wisdom. So instead of wasting energy complaining that no one called you, start training in secret. Study, improve your communication, organize your finances, take care of your routine, finish what you started. The silent preparation of today may be exactly what will prevent you from losing tomorrow's opportunity. Because God can open a door, but maturity is what makes you walk through it without destroying everything. And here is the point many people ignore. If you do not correct your daily choices, even a good opportunity can turn into the wrong path. And that is what we need to talk about now. Third truth, your choices are building or destroying your future. Many people think the future changes with one big breakthrough, but the truth is that the future is built in silence, choice by choice, habit by habit, decision by decision. Sometimes it is not one big fall that destroys a life. It is a sequence of small, wrong decisions that seem harmless at the beginning. An impulsive purchase, a messy routine, a friendship that pulls you down, a word spoken without wisdom, a discipline abandoned out of laziness, a thought fed every day. At first it seems small, it seems normal, it seems like nothing will come of it. But Proverbs 14:12 warns that there is a way that seems right to a person, but its end leads to death. In other words, the danger is not only in the clearly wrong path. Sometimes the danger is in the comfortable path, beautiful on the outside, accepted by everyone, but destroying your direction on the inside. Life is like a GPS. If you miss one street, it may seem like a small thing, but if you keep going in the wrong direction long enough, that small turn becomes a great distance. No one wakes up lost all of a sudden. No one wakes up stagnant all of a sudden. No one wakes up with a stuck life out of nowhere. Most of the time, the person simply repeated wrong directions long enough. They chose immediate relief instead of construction. They chose quick pleasure instead of discipline. They chose complaining instead of preparing. They chose excuses instead of personal responsibility. And here comes a confronting question. Are your choices bringing you closer to the life you say you want, or are they just keeping you comfortable in the life you say you want to leave behind? Because there is no point in declaring a future of prosperity while your routine continues pointing toward indiscipline, passivity, self-sabotage, and lack of preparation. That is why maybe the wisest question is not only, is this allowed? The deeper question is, where is this taking me? Where is this friendship taking me? Where is this habit taking me? Where is this financial decision taking me? Where is this routine taking me? Where is this thought taking me? When you begin to ask this kind of question, you stop living on autopilot and start seeing the invisible patterns that were guiding your life without you realizing it. And at that point, biblical wisdom stops being just a beautiful idea and becomes a correction of direction, because God does not only want you to desire a better future, He wants to teach you to choose better paths. But realizing the wrong path is still not enough, because some people say they are going to change. They understand they need to change. They even get emotional with the truth, but they still do not act. And that is where the next point comes in. Fourth truth, Talking about change changes nothing. Acting with wisdom changes everything. Some people talk about change with so much emotion that it almost seems like they have already changed. But when you look at their routine, their habits, their choices, and their attitudes, everything is still the same. The person says, "Now it is going to happen." They say, "This time I will start." They say, "I will organize my life. I will take care of my money. I will study. I will grow. I will take my future seriously." But after a few days, the excitement fades, discipline disappears, the old routine comes back, and life remains trapped in the same cycle of promise without practice. Proverbs 14:23 confronts this very directly. "In all labor there is profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty." And this poverty is not only financial. It is poverty of results, poverty of maturity, poverty of direction, poverty of transformation, because words without action may relieve guilt for a moment, but they do not build a new destiny. It is like someone who talks about the gym all the time, buys workout clothes, saves exercise videos, follows health pages, creates the perfect playlist, but never actually trains. That person may even feel involved with change, but the body does not change because of intention. The body changes through repetition, sweat, consistency, and commitment. Life works the same way. You do not change because you said you would change. You change when your routine begins to prove that your decision is real, because talking about success does not produce success. Talking about prosperity does not organize your life. Talking about wisdom does not correct your invisible patterns. Talking about discipline does not defeat your laziness. There comes a time when you need to stop narrating the life you desire and start building, even if no one sees it, even if no one applauds, even if no one understands the process. The adjustment here is simple, but deep. Reduce promises and increase practice. Talk less about what you are going to do and start doing more of what no one is seeing. Do not announce everything. Do not promise everything. Do not try to impress people with plans that have not even left the paper yet. Just build with wisdom, prudence, and consistency. If you want to grow, organize one small part of your life today. If you want to prosper, review your spending. If you want to change, cut off a bad habit. If you want direction, stop feeding distractions. God is not impressed by beautiful speeches if the heart continues running from practical obedience. Biblical wisdom does not celebrate empty intention. It points to action, diligence, and fruit. And when you understand this, you realize an even more serious truth. No one can live your discipline in your place, and that is exactly what we need to talk about now. Fifth truth, no one can live your discipline in your place. Many people want the result of a disciplined person, but they keep living with the habits of a disorganized person. They want success, but they do not want consistency. They want prosperity, but they do not want routine. They want growth, but they do not want correction. They want a new season, but they do not want to abandon old patterns. And this is where Proverbs 10:4 confronts clearly. A lazy hand makes a person poor, but the hand of the diligent brings wealth. Notice that the text speaks about the hand, not only the intention. The hand represents practice, action, work, execution, wise movement. In other words, it is not only what you desire in your heart, it is what your hands are building every day. Because in the end, your life does not respond only to what you dream. Your life responds to what you repeat with discipline, diligence, and personal responsibility. The truth is that motivation may get you started, but only discipline makes you remain. Motivation appears when you are excited. Discipline appears when you are tired and still do what needs to be done. A motivated person acts when they feel like it. A disciplined person acts because they have understood the value of the destiny, the purpose, and the future they are building. And no one can do that for you. Someone can advise you, but they cannot obey for you. Someone can teach you, but they cannot practice for you. Someone can love you, support you, inspire you, show you the right path, but they cannot wake up in your place, choose in your place, defeat laziness in your place, or cut off self-sabotage for you. There comes a moment when you need to stop waiting for an external force and accept that your daily discipline is one of the greatest proofs of maturity you can show. Discipline is like brushing your teeth. You do not brush once and say, "Done, I never need to do it again." You repeat it every day because you understand that small accumulated neglect creates big problems. Life works the same way. A small lack of discipline may seem invisible today, but repeated for months, it becomes a stuck life, disorganized money, a delayed future, and a missed opportunity. In the same way, a small discipline may seem too simple now, but repeated with consistency, it becomes transformation, preparation, self-control, direction, and open doors at the right time. So start with what is in front of you. Wake up on time, organize your routine, take care of your money, finish what you started, learn a skill, protect your mind, and choose your company better. Because success begins when your routine stops sabotaging your prayer, and this leads us to an even deeper truth. God honors wise movement, not constant excuses. Sixth truth, God honors wise movement, not constant excuses. There is a huge difference between waiting on God with faith and using God as an excuse not to take responsibility. Some people say, "I'm waiting for God to act," but deep down they are not waiting with trust. They are avoiding discipline, preparation, decision, and movement. Waiting on God does not mean burying talent, abandoning planning, running from correction, ignoring wisdom, or living stuck while calling passivity spirituality. Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do." Pay close attention. Whatever you do, not whatever you merely desire, avoid, delay, or promise to do one day. True faith does not cancel action. It gives direction to action, places purpose in effort, and turns ordinary movement into wise obedience. Think of a farmer who prays for a harvest but never plants a seed. He looks at the sky, asks for rain, asks for abundance, asks for fruit, but the field remains empty. He wants results, but he does not prepare the land. He wants provision, but he does not sow seed. He wants a harvest, but he does not respect the invisible process that comes before the fruit. Many people live like this. They pray for open doors, but they do not develop a skill. They ask for growth, but they do not organize their routine. They ask for prosperity, but they do not correct financial decisions. And here is the confrontation. God can send rain, but you are the one who needs to prepare the soil. God can give wisdom, but you are the one who needs to apply wisdom. Because prayer is not an escape from responsibility. Prayer is alignment, so you can walk with more direction, more prudence, more humility, and more consistency. Proverbs 3:5-6 teaches us to trust in the Lord with all our heart and acknowledge Him in all our ways. But a way requires movement. God makes paths straight, but you need to walk in them. So pray but act, trust but prepare, ask for direction but walk, commit your plans but have plans, seek wisdom but apply that wisdom in real life. Maybe God has already answered in a way you did not want to recognize, by giving you a first step, a correction of direction, a difficult decision, a daily discipline, a small door. And here is a phrase that needs to go deep. God will not live your obedience for you. He gives direction, opens paths, strengthens your faith, but you need to decide, adjust, build, and remain. When this becomes clear, you stop outsourcing your life to circumstances, to people, and even to a misunderstood spirituality. And that is exactly the final point we need to face. Seventh truth, success begins when you stop outsourcing your life. Outsourcing your life means living as if your change always depends on someone showing up, some situation improving, a huge door opening, or everything becoming perfect first. The person says, "I will only start when I have support. I will only change when I have more money. I will only grow when someone helps me. I will only try when the fear goes away." But while they think like this, they hand over the power of the next decision to circumstances that may never become perfect. And then life remains stuck, stagnant, trapped in complaint. Personal responsibility does not mean saying everything was your fault. Responsibility means understanding that even if not everything was your fault, the next decision can still be yours. This is liberating because it gives back into your hands what passivity tried to steal. Direction, wise movement, self-control, maturity, and the ability to build a different future. Proverbs 4:23 says to guard your heart, because from it flow the springs of life. This means that many external things begin in internal sources: mindset, desires, beliefs, intentions, habits, and decisions. It is like a house with a hidden leak. The person paints the wall, changes the furniture, buys beautiful decorations, but the mold comes back because the problem is in the plumbing no one sees. Many lives are like this. The person tries to change the appearance, but does not correct the invisible patterns that keep leaking strength, time, money, energy, faith, and opportunity. So the final adjustment is this: stop waiting for permission to grow. Maybe you did not choose everything that happened to you, but you can choose what you will do from now on. You can cut off a pattern, change a routine, make a decision, protect your heart, seek wisdom, and stop living as a victim of your own story. Because your success begins when you decide not to outsource your life anymore. Success does not begin when someone finally helps you. Success begins when you decide to take responsibility for the life God has placed in your hands. Because Proverbs reveals that life is not built only by dreams, desires, prayers, good intentions, or beautiful phrases about change. Life is built by applied wisdom, by wise decisions, by daily discipline, by diligence, by preparation, by direction, and by consistency. And maybe this is the truth many people avoid. You do not change your life just because you want to. You change when your choices begin to prove that you truly decided. Maybe this video confronted you. Maybe it touched excuses you did not want to admit, habits you had been normalizing, decisions you had been delaying. But this confrontation did not come to destroy you. It came to wake you up. It came to remind you that there is still direction. There is still a correction of route. There is still a next possible decision, because while you blame everything, you give away your power. You blame the lack of support. You blame the circumstances. You blame the past. You blame closed doors. You blame life. But when you take responsibility, you recover direction. You stop living like someone trapped by what happened and start acting like someone committed to what can still be built. Responsibility is not carrying destructive guilt. Responsibility is saying, even if not everything was my fault, the next decision is still mine. You do not control every door, but you control your preparation. You do not control every person, but you control your choices. You do not control every season, but you control whether you will plant or not. You do not control everything that happened, but you control the next step, the next attitude, the next renunciation, the next discipline, the next response. And maybe that is exactly what God is showing you. Do not wait for life to become perfect before you begin to move. Start with what you have. Start where you are. Start with the wisdom you have already received. Start small, but start seriously. Because the future does not belong to the person who only desires. The future belongs to the person who decides to act with wisdom. Do not wait for someone to save your discipline. Do not wait for someone to organize your routine. Do not wait for someone to live your obedience. Do not wait for someone to build your future while you remain trapped in complaint, excuses, indiscipline, and the comfort zone. God can give you direction, open paths, strengthen your faith, and give you wisdom, but you need to decide to walk. If this message spoke to you, write in the comments, which of these truths spoke to you? Like this video, share it with someone who needs to stop waiting and start acting, and subscribe to the channel to keep receiving messages about wisdom. And remember, God can open paths, but you need to decide to walk with wisdom.